So we started to move from modern purpose-built property and we moved into Victorian, which I love because it's got character and it's got a soul. And an offer was accepted of 80,000 immediately. Didn't I kick myself? I didn't even go in lower. We moved now from buy-to-lets. I'll still look at buy-to-lets, but this is now a holiday property in Pembrokeshire in the county. Just across the road, it's a probate sale for a farmhouse with outbuildings with no planning consent, which have the potential for 5 holiday lets and the farmhouse, which has got 4 bedrooms.
Let's move on rapidly to our next speaker. Let's hear it for Dympana.
Hi everybody, my name is Dympana. I'm on Mastermind 28. It's a long time since I've done a presentation like this, and this is a bit of a whistle-stop tour because there's a lot of information to cover, so I'll get going now. Okay, so strategy was to spread the risk because being slightly older, we're looking at things from a slightly different perspective from some of you younger guys. What was our original strategy? How did we start and why? So our original strategy was to buy what we thought was just buy-to-let, our kind of bread and butter income to prepare us ready for retirement. My husband was in the oil industry, self-employed, and we had a very high standard of living, as you do, because we all spend according to our budget. So we were looking at being able to prepare ourselves for our retirement and also give something to our daughter to pass on to her for her future. So we decided then to modify the previous model. There was a very good reason for that because just prior to COVID, back in almost 2 years ago now, my husband went from a very healthy 6-figure salary, self-employed, suddenly to nothing because he had an unfortunate illness. He's fine, he's had treatment and that's okay. But we had to change the strategy we were using because we needed something to replace his income. You do get used to that money. So what did we decide to do? We had 2 options. We could either try and pay off our existing mortgages, which without our mortgages on our portfolio that we had built up over the preceding 8 years, we'd have been absolutely fine. But we didn't have enough money to do that. So that meant that we had a bit of a hole in the finances. So we made the decision to continue to invest, but we needed something that gave us more than the standard vanilla buy-to-let, which is just giving you a small amount coming in from each property each month. So we had to weigh up the risk that we were prepared to take against the reward that we needed to be able to move forward. And we also then had to factor in the other dreaded C, which we all know about, which is still with us from the last 15 months of coronavirus, because that had an impact as well. A lot of you I know who are already in things like, as Martin was saying just now, serviced accommodation. That was a really scary moment for a lot of people because they had all of this money going out and very little coming in because all of the online travel agents just shut everything down overnight, similar to the situation we were in. So what did we actually do then? We started off by increasing our buy-to-let portfolio, but this time within a limited company. So our previous portfolio was inside just a personal ownership. The reason we did that was because we'd actually maxed out on all the mortgages. We couldn't borrow anymore personally because we'd hit the top stop for all of the lenders. So we set up a limited company, although we didn't actually need to from a tax point of view because my husband not working, there was no more 40% tax anymore. So we started to move from modern purpose-built property and we moved into Victorian, which I love because it's got character and it's got a soul. And we looked for things that cost less, but actually were going to give us a lot more potential because we started to look at renting out to families then. So this one was advertised at 85,000. I called the agent straight away and an offer was accepted of 80,000 immediately. Didn't I kick myself? I didn't even go in lower. Valuation came in at 75, so that was a bit of a shocker. So I went back to the agent and I said, okay, we need to go down to 75. And the vendor came back and said, okay, we'll accept, can we meet halfway? So we offered 77, which was fine. We didn't need to do very much to this, actually. It was in pretty good condition. We spent just over £5,000 giving it a bit of internal curb appeal. This was the kitchen that we started off with, and we actually gave it a bit of a wow. And the result of that was the agent that we use for renting our properties out had an open afternoon. It was rented immediately. And we've got a family in there, a young couple, and with a baby. So exactly the market that we wanted to move into. End value then was 110,000. Mortgage of 56,250, giving us equity in the property of just over 50,000, which is a nice little nest to be sitting on. We haven't released that equity. I object to paying mortgage companies money to get out of a fixed deal, so I'm going to wait until we get to the point where at the end of that deal, it's my money, I want to keep it, and then we'll review that and see whether we take out that equity. Monthly rent is 525, so it's not huge, but it's what I call the bread and butter. It's the income, it's the cash flow. These small buy-to-lets that we have within our limited company service all of our mortgages. And if you can service your mortgages with some small income coming in from properties, then you're onto a bit of a winner there. The next one was another one up north. These are actually all up north in Lancashire area, Greater Manchester, actually. Advertised at 110,000. They actually wanted offers over 100,000 because they'd lost a buyer and they had a property to move into. So we went in at 101, which was accepted straight away. Less costs on the renovations this time because the house was actually in pretty good condition when we got it. The great thing about this one is that it's already had the loft conversion done, but without the proper staircase. So we have the potential to add a lot more value to this when we're ready. Obviously, we've got tenants in there at the moment. The last thing we want to be doing is opening up roofs and all that sort of stuff. So this was the condition that we took it on at. Young couple, they had made it really nice, and we just gave it a bit of a facelift. So it didn't cost us very much to do it. We actually started off, so we got an end value there of 117,000. So not a major uplift, but with that potential for the loft conversion to be made good and to make it fire and all the rest of it, planning, etc. We've got potential there. Mortgage of 75, just over 75, equity of 40,000. The monthly rent was 575, but they asked if they could have a dog, and we always hike our rents by 25 a month just to cover any potential issues when they leave, if they've left dirty carpets, etc. And they were happy to accept that. So we've now got net monthly rent on that of 302. So you'll notice that I'm not mentioning ROI on these because that's not something that I'm focusing on. What I'm wanting is money to come in to pay mortgages on the rest of the portfolio. So ROI, as far as I'm concerned, is not really that important on these ones. This was our departure. This is where we changed. We moved now from buy-to-lets. I'll still look at buy-to-lets, but this is now a holiday property in Pembrokeshire, in the county where I live. Never bought property in Pembrokeshire before because its unit cost is very high and the returns are quite low for rental income because earnings are low in Pembrokeshire. So this was an old farm building. It's two properties, the barn and the coach house. So I'm going to talk about the coach house because the barn is still a bit of a building site at the moment. So it was advertised at 145,000. It's a 3-bed old, it was a coach house, then it became a milking shed, and now it's gone back to being the coach house, but as a holiday property. We actually got it valued at 145,000, offered 141,250, which well, I actually went in at 140 and we came back with 141,250 was accepted. We have a potential headache with the finances in as much as we've got to have the rendering redone because it's blown basically. So we've not dealt with that at the moment. We've put in something called a cavity drain membrane, which buys us about 5 years on water coming through walls basically. It's a stone building, it's a farmhouse, it's going to have issues. So we got an extra discount on the barn because the guy we bought from owned both of them and he wanted the discount applied to the other property because of his capital gains tax liability. So we did a little bit of jiggling around with the funds on that one. Renovations, quite hefty on this because we're going for very high end and a unique let, if you like, for properties. So it's in Pembrokeshire. Any of you who know South West Wales will know that it's a beautiful place. It's a fantastic place for holidays. It has some of the most stunning beaches in the UK. But this particular location doesn't have sea views, so we have to give it something extra that people want to have. It's right in the centre of the county. You can get down to Tenby in the south, which has beautiful sandy beaches. You can get up to St David's in the north, which is also really accessible, all within a very short period of time. So we took the existing one and we turned it into some high-end holiday accommodation. And I'd be quite interested when the vendor comes back to see these, actually, to see what he thinks, because he'd really let the places run down quite badly, actually. What we want is to make ours stand out against other people, basically, because there's a lot of competition, as you can imagine, in a holiday-let area, actually. End value, 200,000. We have a mortgage on there of 105, so we've got almost 100,000 of equity. The rental income is the interesting bit on this one. Average net rent will be just over £3,000 a month. That's obviously going to peak and trough because seasons change, but we all know that people are starting to do more work from home. If you've got kids and you're working from home, come to Pembrokeshire, let the kids go off and do their stuff while you sit and work in a nice cottage. So we've put in hardwired internet, etc., for security. A lot of people don't think that that's important, but actually a lot of companies won't allow their staff to work unless they've got a wired internet connection because of security issues. So we've kind of tried to tick as many boxes as possible to make them as appealing as possible to the widest range of people. We've also got beautiful walks, so people we're going to accept dogs. You'll notice there's no carpets. I don't want carpets if I'm having pets in a property. I want to be able to clean floors, etc. Okay, so future deals. Just across the road is a probate sale for a farmhouse with outbuildings with no planning consent, which have the potential for 5 holiday lets and the farmhouse, which has got 4 bedrooms. It's on at 200,000. It's going to cost about 200,000 to get it up to spec. It's a back to shell. Never mind about back to brick. It's back to the full structure. There's fungus growing in the wardrobes. It's lovely. GDV is not huge, but rental potential is going to be massive. So my next steps on that one, I've had to look at it twice. I've got to firm up the costs with a local builder and then see if I can get to the vendor with a purchase lease option to get the planning consent, which then means I can go to companies like Crowd Property to be able to do the development. So that's on the offing once I've got past the hiccup with the builder that I've got at the moment, but we're getting there slowly. Top tips, be very clear on your reason why and be prepared for it to change because life changes. We all know that from the last 15 months. Spread your risk by investing in multiple strategies. If your only strategy was serviced accommodation, you took a nasty hit last year with no ability to do anything about it until things started to move again. So if you have multiple strategies, you've got something to keep things ticking over financially. Source multiple tradespeople, so if you've got a problem, you can go to somebody else. Remember, in order to achieve the end goal, the road will have its ups and downs. That's just the way life is. And if you're working on your own, you need to try and find a soulmate that you can bounce off, actually, because it's a pretty lonely journey when things are bad. Call on friends and family to help out. My great-nephew's been helping me move furniture. They're bored. They've finished their GCSEs. £25 a day. Come and shift some furniture for me. He's asked if he can come back to do some more. And they'll learn something too. Make sure you've got plenty of contingency in your estimates because I know that there's a 25% hike coming from Jewson's on their timber on the 1st of July. So if any of you need timber, get it ordered and paid for now. Doesn't matter if they don't have it, just pay for it. They'll fix the price and they'll keep it. The unexpected will happen, so just be prepared for it. Stay positive, be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day, but the result was worth the pain. A sense of humour is worth more than gold. And for those of you just starting out, good luck.
I do hope you got massive value from watching this YouTube video. I'd encourage you to click on the link below to come and do the online training with me. And I've got another video lined up for you, which I think is also going to be really useful that you should watch once you've registered for the online training with me. So invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'll see you very soon.